Hello world! A vulnerability in Android which was discovered accidentally allows attackers to bypass the lock screen. And was CSI right? Is it possible to enhance the reflections in someone's glasses? That's all coming up in today's roundup of cybersecurity tech news. There's a serious vulnerability in Android, which allows anyone to bypass a Google Pixel's lock screen, and it was discovered by mistake. Google has been so slow in patching the bug that the researcher who discovered it had to threaten to publicly expose the problem just so Google would take it seriously. The story begins with my friend David, who actually appeared on this channel a few years ago when I visited a hacker conference in Germany. He discovered the bug on his Google Pixel 6 when it ran out of battery. After plugging it into charge, it booted back up and asked him for his SIM card's PIN. Now, there's a good chance your phone has never asked you for this. It's an extra setting that you can enable to protect the SIM card itself. But David couldn't remember what the PIN code was, so after 3 failed attempts, he managed to lock himself out of his SIM card. Now if this happens, you need a PUK code. It's like a master password which can override a locked SIM. It usually comes on a bit of the SIM card's packaging. But after keying it in, his phone got stuck on a loading screen, which is strange, so he tried to reproduce the bug by following the same steps again. But this time, he forgot to do the one thing that caused the problem in the first place: rebooting the phone. But missing this step led to even stranger behaviour. This time, after entering his SIM's PUK code, his phone just unlocked, without any fingerprint or password. The lock screen was completely bypassed. Let's back up a bit. If a bad actor comes across a locked Pixel phone, or any Android phone for that matter, as we don't know yet which other manufacturers are vulnerable here, what's the process to bypass its encryption and get into it? First, they'd have to disable biometric authentication by just using the wrong fingerprint a few times. Then, they'd replace the SIM card with their own SIM card which is protected by a PIN code. At this point, the phone will automatically ask for the SIM's PIN, which they'll enter incorrectly until the SIM is locked. Then they'll key in the PUK code to unlock the SIM, and finally set a new PIN code for the SIM. After this last step, the phone glitches and the attacker has full access to the device. It's a really simple hack that requires no special equipment. These kinds of exploits are highly sought after. I mean, just a few years ago, the FBI had very public fights with Apple over their unwillingness to unlock a terrorist's phone. Lock screen bypass exploits are highly useful to the government and bad actors, so it shouldn't be any surprise that Google awards up to $100,000 to people who find and report bugs like this. And David just so happens to be a bug hunter, so he wrote up and submitted a report. You would expect Google would fix the bug ASAP, pay David his bounty, and well, that would be the end of it. Instead, David says there was basically a month of silence, but then he received the email that all bug hunters dread. The Android security team believes that this is a duplicate of an issue previously reported by another external researcher. Basically, someone discovered the bug before him, claims the pot of gold, and well, there was no more gold to be had. But this isn't where the story ends. Fast forward a few months and Google released the September update for the Pixel lineup. You would assume the bug would have been fixed by now, having been reported months ago. But no, he was still able to unlock the phone. And coincidentally, David just so happened to be attending Google's Bug Hunter event Escalate at the same time, so he did a live demo, literally inside Google's office. But even after that, still, the bug went unpatched. At this point, he was frustrated, to say the least. It had been 4 months since he reported the vulnerability, and who knows how long since the first disclosure to Google, the one that invalidated his claim to the pot of gold. Google had been given every chance to fix the bug, so David played the one card that was bound to get their attention. He gave Google a deadline of October 15th, on which he'd publicly disclose details of the bug, whether it's patched or not. This is considered a nuclear option for bug hunters, something they'll only do as a last resort when a company for whatever reason fails to patch a vulnerability within a reasonable timeframe. And, well, it got Google's attention. They got in touch with him, wanting to set up a call and discuss things. And finally, this is when Google started to listen, promising to fix the bug in November's update. This did surpass the October 15th deadline, but David was understandably a bit apprehensive about publicly disclosing the bug when it was still unpatched, so he backed out of that. In fairness, he would have received a lot of scrutiny for publicly exposing the bug so close to when Google said they would fix it, so you're free to disagree, but he probably made the right decision. Google sent him one final email, which explains a few things. They said they didn't take any action after the bug was first reported because they were not able to reproduce the vulnerability. That could be because the report was just written badly, or maybe a Google engineer just didn't do it right. But this changed after David's report. They go on to say that they typically do not reward duplicate reports. However, because your report resulted in us taking action to fix the issue, we are happy to reward you the full amount of $70,000. In making this video, I spoke to David, and he wants to make it clear that even though this was mainly Pixel specific, there are other vendors that are vulnerable, because the patch was in Android itself. So give it a go on your own device, and let me know down below if your phone is vulnerable. Also, I'll make sure to link David's channel and his full write-up below, it's well worth a read. We all thought CSI was just making a meme out of themselves, when using technology, they managed to catch bad guys by enhancing a reflection in someone's glasses.
Reflection.
That's the Nuevita's baseball team. That's their logo.
And he's talking to whoever's wearing that jacket.
We may have a witness.
But was CSI just ahead of their time? And is this now possible? I mean, just last year, a drug dealer was jailed for 13 years after police ID'd him using his fingerprints from a photo of a block of cheese. So is deciphering reflections in glasses really that far-fetched? Well, researchers have investigated in a new paper titled Private Eye, and they've made some surprising discoveries. So rather than justifying this research with the meme itself, they say it's an important topic because video conferencing has become a new norm thanks to working from home becoming more common. And well, that's the context here. Is it possible to enhance the reflection in someone's glasses from their webcam feed during a Zoom meeting to the point where you can read the text on their computer screen? Well, given it would probably depend on the resolution of the victim's webcam, the researchers tested against a 720p built-in laptop webcam, a 1080p Logitech webcam, and a 4K camera. And to achieve a CSI-style enhance, they used a technique called multi-frame super resolution. This is the kind of tech that's used in mobile phones to improve the resolution of photos when zooming in. It relies on taking a short burst of images, which provides subtle variation between frames, and then, by using a reference frame, you can overlay the photos, which gives you a strange morphing GIF-looking kind of a thing. But an algorithm can take this and use it to infer what pixels might lie between the pixels it already has, thus constructing a higher resolution image. However, in this case, other factors like the viewing angle of glasses also had to be taken into account. The researchers found that by using a laptop's built-in 720p camera, it was possible to reconstruct and recognize with over 75% accuracy on-screen texts that have heights as small as 10mm. But 10mm or 1cm is rather large text. It's not quite on the level of CSI, but this does change a bit when using a 4K camera. I realise it's not a webcam, but the researchers included it to give us an idea of how future webcams might perform, in which case 4K cameras will tip the threshold of text leakage to reconstruction of most header texts on popular websites. But still, it doesn't really seem that significant. But what is more interesting is their section on website recognition, as in figuring out what website someone is on via the reflection in their glasses. Think your boss wanting to check whether you're actually following along with the quarterly reports, or if you're just browsing Reddit or something. In that case, using only a 720p webcam and testing against a list of the top 100 websites, they were able to achieve a maximum recognition accuracy of 94%. And this is without using fancy machine learning models. Realistically though, I don't think we have much to worry about. But how can the paranoid among us combat this emerging threat? The researchers have one idea. They wrote, "For software mitigations, we notice Zoom provides virtual filters of non-transparent cartoon glasses." I believe they're referring to these. Having working code only to find out that the version it runs on is going end of life is frustrating. You would have to quickly migrate to the latest version with a bunch of code refactoring and rewriting. But not with TuxCare. They help you plan the transition with their extended lifecycle support, which covers a range of Linux distros as well as PHP and Python. With TuxCare, you can keep your existing codebase and still receive security updates and patches for deprecated versions. This means that if your codebase still meets your operational requirements, it can still meet your security targets, giving you time to plan your next move. Learn more about TuxCare's extended lifecycle support by clicking on the link in the video description. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.